Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heike and you're watching Stone Cold Coffee Crafts. Today is Wednesday, July the 22nd, and this is another daily crafty chat. It's going to be a super short one. I think I've said that multiple times now, and it was always not a super short one afterwards, but this one is going to be, promise, not taking up too much of your time today. My little furry assistant Lola is currently taking a nap in the bathroom sink, as she's prone to do. Don't ask. I have been basically bumbling around way too long this morning. It is now nearly 11 o'clock in the morning, so she is now in her no work for the kitty time. But now that I've started talking, she might show up. No promises though. So, what did I do since we talked to each other yesterday? Honestly, not too much, which kind of surprised me a bit, but I guess I was just out of it yesterday, because when I tried to remember this morning what I was actually doing yesterday afternoon, I couldn't come up with much. I mean, I sat down at some point and started stitching, and I have a stitching update for you today, but that's not even close to what I usually can do in an afternoon and evening, so I have no idea. Probably aliens abducted me and took time away from me. So, the only thing I worked on yesterday is Baby It's Cold Outside. And as you can see, I finished the house. The house is now completely done. The next thing I need to do, I'm currently trying to decide. I think I'm going to put in the white underneath the house, because this actually is a good guideline, though I have to take care to count correctly. I already miscounted once and had to frog part of the smaller part of the house yesterday because I miscounted the roof. Quite honestly, I did not frog everything I needed to, just to somehow be able to fudge it. And I actually made a second mistake while doing so, but I think it's not visible, so I'm going to leave it in there. It was a bit frustrating. And I mentioned, I think, was it my last floss tube? In some video I made, I'm making too many videos recently. I can't remember what I said when, and I've always had this issue, but with the daily videos I'm completely lost now. Welcome to my world. In some video I speculated that I might run out of the pomegranate, which is the red, because I switched up from the recommended, is it 36 count I believe, to 28 count. I wanted to stitch this whole thing bigger, which also means I went from one thread to, from one thread to two threads. I had been afraid to run out of this color, and what you see there on my needle is actually all I have left of the first skein. So I went back and bought another one, so no worries. There isn't a ton of red left, only in the border and in the bird I'm going to stitch, which you can't see on the original pattern there, because it is something that Beth Twist charted after this stitch along started, which is in remembrance of Leanne, a stitcher we sadly lost to the big sea, and who started the original stitch along for this pattern. I think it was sometime last year. Not totally sure about this because that was before I picked up stitching again, so I only found out a bit about it this year, beginning of this year. So yeah, this is actually a big chunk of the whole thing done already. Doesn't look like it, but now there's a lot of smaller things to go around, which much more space in between, which I'm super looking forward to. I actually enjoyed the checkerboard part of this pattern immensely. I'm not, as you might remember, a super huge fan of the full coverage thing, so stitching the house and the roofs there on the sides where they are full coverage was not the most fun thing in my book, but I really enjoyed the checkerboard. And I like that you even can tell the variegation of the floss in the checkerboard. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm currently debating. I think I'm going to, sorry, I'm going to put in the snow underneath the house today, and I'm going to try and start on the words. I have not decided yet if I would like to start at the top or the bottom. Probably above the houses, because I would need to readjust the frame, and I really don't want to. I have the tension just right now, and that is actually a pretty hard thing to do with Picture This Plus fabric. I don't know what they do to the fabric when they dye it, but it makes the fabric extremely wobbly and a bit wonky. So getting a piece of Picture This Plus on the frame in a way that it's actually taut everywhere is kind of hard. And I'm totally a scroll frame girl. I tried Q-snaps when I first started, but I hate these things. They are just, can't do that. I really can't. And I would honestly not feel comfortable to put linen in there. It probably wouldn't do anything to the linen, but no. So I'm totally a scroll frame girl. I've had questions about this before. So my scroll frame, I have both a floor stand and a small desk stand. The desk stand is really just for really small things, from a company called Marussia. I'm not exactly sure how they would be pronounced, but I know that their shop I am ordering from ships within Europe. They don't ship overseas, but maybe you can get those frames in your part of the world as well. Just Google for the name, maybe it will come up. Basically, they are super inexpensive as far as I'm concerned. The floor stand was something like 60 and a few euros. And these frames here are usually somewhere between 12 and I think that the most expensive is just above 20 euro, which is also the biggest. I have to come up with something for the beans Rachel just spilled in her last floss tube that I've purchased last year, a chatelaine, which I have opened and then scared poopless closed again. I'll have to come up with something because the chatelaine won't fit on this frame. It's too small. I've seen another frame that I'm thinking about getting, but I'm not entirely there yet, that I'm going to purchase a whole new frame just for the chatelaine, although it's going to be on there for years, let's be honest. Question, I'm pretty sure I don't have too many super long time stitchers watching this, at least as far as the comments go. I have not seen anyone who has been stitching non-stop for I don't know how many years, but has any one of you ever attempted to do a chatelaine? And how do you read these charts? Because I'll probably talk more about it on Friday in my next floss tube, but let's just say that I'm good with the cross stitch part, but as soon as we touch the special stitches and the back stitching, I have a huge issue. There are so many colors that I'm supposed to do back stitch and special stitches with, and the way she has labeled everything is so horrendous. It's basically impossible to tell which color she uses where. So I mean, I know that her patterns work. I think in Pattern Keeper, would that help me? Would Pattern Keeper tell me this line is color this and that because it can interpret the hex code? Or because I looked at it and I tried to compare it to the huge legend of colors she put in there, and it's just these very thin colored lines, and I'm not sure how I am supposed to match them up, because on the actual chart she never mentions anywhere which color she is stitching with. You know, she has broken up the chart in multiple pages, and if she had put on the page, on this page you have backstitching color this, that, and this, it would have at least made it easier. Or she could have done it the easiest way, the way the Frosted Pumpkin, for example, does that, or Satsuma Street with the Alice Stitch Along did that as well. They gave you a list where they said color this and that. So for example, color 310. Backstitch with 1 strand or 2 strands, depending on what it was, 4. And then you had, I don't know, the outline of the Mad Hatter's hat, for example. And then you knew, okay, even if I can't match up these colors, because reasons, I might be colorblind, for example, this is what I'm supposed to stitch with that. It's driving me nuts. So if any one of you has stitched a chatelaine or is stitching a chatelaine and has any kind of tip how to do that, or if I really have to invest in yet another device and get an Android device so I can use Pattern Keeper, please let me know. Please let me know, because I really would like to stitch my chatelaine. It's beautiful, but the chart is driving me bonkers. The way it's charted, the way it's labeled, the way, even the supply list. Okay, I said I was going to talk about this on Friday, and I'm going to can it until Friday, because if I get into it now, it's going to get into a 1 hour rant or something like that, and I promised you a quick video. So, back on topic. This is what I stitched yesterday. Plans for today, probably going to put in the snow, and I'm going to try and count up to start the words over here. I would like to get them out of the way, because they are actually going to give me a good reference point where to put the snowflakes afterwards. And yes, I'm totally also trying to avoid the snowflakes, because I don't like stitching with white. Of course. I mean, that would be an opportunity to wash the thread and see if it makes it any softer. I might try that. So yeah, that's the plans. And what else was I going to say? There was something else which now has totally slipped my mind. Hey. I forgot. I'm sorry. So, I did not knit yesterday, but I did get something in the mail yesterday, which would be my last Biff Sugar Yarn mystery sock club. She has stopped the sock club now. She is doing a different thing, a yarn of the month, which she releases at the beginning of the month, and you can order it, pre-order it for a reduced price in multiple bases, I think. And as far as I understood, she is going to dye that towards the end of the month, at the end of the month. I'm not entirely sure. I have not completely checked it, because the first she posted was one where I thought, yep, don't need that. I'm kind of excited and kind of sad about it, because I usually like the excitement and the mystery of the I don't know what I get sock clubs. But on the other hand, the new system also, of course, avoids disappointment, and you know right away if you need more than one, and yep, all that stuff. But let's talk about this amazing yarn she sent us as the last sock club she has sold. This is called, and the name is so fitting, it is called Roller Disco. Yep, can see that absolutely. It is a fingering weight yarn. This time around I went with her 25 nylon 75 superwash merino base. The last one I showed you was merino cashmere nylon, and I have decided to switch out my plans. If you remember the last time I spoke about her, I showed you the merino cashmere nylon I think I got for the June club, and I wanted to do the Spindrift shawl by Helen Stewart with it, but the yardage wasn't enough for that shawl. It calls for 400 yards or meters, I'm not entirely sure, and that skein had like 366 meters or something like that. So it was a bit too small to complete the project with that, and I had intended to use some kind of contrast yarn, but when I got this yesterday I thought, you know what, no, let's switch out the yarn, do the Spindrift shawl with this one, because this is actually This is amazing, and I don't know what I would combine it with, so it needs some one skein project anyway, and I like that the Spindrift shawl is mainly stockinette stitch, so this will bring out all the colors she put in there, all the speckles, all the variation, because the stockinette doesn't swallow up as much as the garter does, and a lot of patterns out there are always garter for whatever reason. So I think this is a good choice for this, and this is a bit of a change of a plan, not a new plan. But yeah, I hope you agree with me. So if you would like to go back and compare, it was in Daily Crafty Chat 20. I had to go back myself and check where it was, because of course I did not put this project in my project list. It's the one I didn't put in there. That's Murphy for you. And that's all I have. So I'm apologizing for the lack of furry assistant. She's still asleep. It's my fault. I started filming too late today, and yeah, girl gotta sleep at some point, doesn't she? I hope you still enjoyed this a little bit. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I should be back tomorrow with the last Daily Crafty Chat of the week, because as I said, Friday is going to be floss tube, haul and all. Alright guys, bye.